I do want to talk a little bit today about my current Polene collection. I kind of wanted to give you guys my 2 cents in regards to the pieces that I currently own. Hi everyone, and welcome back, or welcome if you're new around here. My name is May, and today I wanted to talk about Polene. I feel like it's been a minute since we chatted about this brand. I know that unfortunately Polene seems to be a little bit of a hit or miss between us consumers. I feel like every time I put out a Polene video, it is like 50-50. Some of you love them, have had the best experience, would recommend them with your eyes closed, and then we have those of you that have had a bad experience, have ordered a piece, hasn't met your standards, and so on and so forth. And it really makes me sad anytime you guys share those stories with me, because I love Polene. Polene is honestly one of my favorite handbag brands, and I haven't had any bad experience, fingers crossed, knock on wood, all that good stuff in regards to the brand or anything that I have bought from them. I have purchased both in the boutique in person in Paris. I've also shopped in New York, and I've also ordered online. So I've had various shopping experiences with them, and thankfully all of them have turned out great. Now, with that out of the way, I do want to talk a little bit today about my current Polene collection. I kind of wanted to give you guys my 2 cents in regards to the pieces that I currently own, as I have sold off some of the pieces that I had. And then I also kind of wanted to go through the Polene website, share with you guys what it is that I am currently eyeing and what it is that I cannot get behind. So leave me in the background as background noise, grab a cup of coffee, glass of wine, depending what time it is, or depending on the mood, whatever it is, come join me, because we're gonna have a little chatty one. Let's start off with my current collection, and we're gonna start off with honestly my favorite sort of collection from Polene, and that is the Numéro Un. Now, the Numéro Un for me, it's nostalgic, honestly. It always reminds me of the brand. Every time I see it, I'm like, that is such a beautiful bag. And it honestly is, you guys. I think it is so well crafted, as many of Polene pieces are. I've always said that one of the main reasons why I love the brand is due to the fact that their pieces are so unique, and they're not really pieces that you see other brands sort of recreating. So I really enjoy that of this brand in particular. The Numéro Un is just so cute in both the small, the micro, as you can see here, and the large size. The large size, I have done what's in my bag videos, comparison videos, all sorts of videos in regards to the pieces that I will be sharing today. So I'll make sure to leave them in the description box, and I'll leave a playlist at the end of this video as well in case you guys want to do a deep dive. But the larger size, I do feel, is a great option like for the office, or if you just carry a lot more on the daily. The small size, for me and for what I carry, there are times where I do need to downsize a little bit, just because I do tend to carry a little bit more than the norm, but not so much where I need the larger size, if that makes sense. However, this piece is just beautiful. I love it as a date night bag. I love it for a travel bag as well. Like if you're going to a destination where you don't need to carry a lot, I think this is such a good bag. And out of the 3 that I have to say that I can't pick a favorite between these 2, just because my husband gifted me this one for Valentine's one year. It is a color that is no longer available. Every time that I share a video and I share this piece, I get questions about it. So it's just going to be a forever piece in my collection. And then this combination for me is pure Polene. This was the first combination that I ever saw any of Polene's pieces in. I knew that I needed to add this combination in my collection. I do love using mine more as a top handle option. I feel like they look dressier and a little bit more chic that way. However, these do come with removable and adjustable straps, which you can go ahead and use them as a crossbody or a shoulder bag. And then the micro one, she's just so cute. I honestly think that this is like a great little just statement piece. She is a great conversation starter. Like the times that I have used her, there's always someone that tells me, oh my God, that bag is so cute. What is it? What do you fit inside? Surprisingly, she fits a lot. I am here to report back to you that she does fit a good amount. However, I do think that she is more of like a cute accessory to finish off your look. Okay, we're gonna leave my favorite one out of all of them as per practicality wise for last. I feel like you guys will know which one that is. But let's dive into the next one in my collection, and that is the Numéro Dix. So The Numéro Dix was a bag that I was back and forth on for a very, very long time. However, as I have been able to grow my collection, I have added certain colors in my collection that I gravitate to most. And I didn't want to duplicate on those colors too much, because I have just bags that if I'm putting an outfit together and I know that I need that color of handbag, I have particular bags that I know that that's the bag that I'm going to grab. Hopefully that makes sense. But they then brought out the color Mochi. I was gonna say Eben, but the color, no, not Mochi. Oh, what is it? Ebony. But yes, they then brought out the color Ebony and I was in love with that color. I hesitated because this is a smooth leather. It's not a grained or pebbled leather like the other pieces from Polène that I own are. So I did a little bit more research in regards to this leather, and a ton of people were like, it's super durable, have no complaints, no scuffs, nothing. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna go ahead and grab it just because the color is so stunning. So I did just that. I did use this bag for our Mexico trip and I loved it. I do have to say, as I did mention in that video, she fits a decent amount, but you do have to play a lot of Tetris with her. Due to the shape, most of the pieces are going to want to come down here to this kind of like arched area. So whenever you need to go into the bag and take out a piece, everything else kind of readjusts itself and then goes to this deep end right here. So just keep that in mind. It is a little fussy in a way, but honestly nothing too crazy that is a huge deal breaker. At least it wasn't for me. Now, the other thing that I do love about this particular piece is how versatile it is and how many different ways you can incorporate it. You do have a little bit of a shorter strap and then you have the longer strap in order to use it as a crossbody. And I love that Polène gives us that option in a lot of their handbags. All right, before we get into the last one, let me know down below how your Polène current collection looks like. What is your current favorite piece from your collection, or what piece you are eyeing and want to add into your collection? I do want to share with you a few that I am eyeing, and I definitely want to see if I do add them into my collection at some point. We are heading to Paris next year, so I'm waiting off until I go to the boutique just because I love a good boutique shopping experience, but we never know. They might just bring out something that I cannot wait for and I might just order it before. All right, last piece, and currently my favorite piece from Polène, and that is the Cyme in the mini size. Guys, don't sleep on this bag. I was actually talking to one of you recently, Autumn, and we were going back and forth because you were asking me in regards to like an office bag, and I was like, I just think that the Cyme is such a good tote in both sizes, honestly. It just depends on you personally and what you need to carry. This size packs a punch. I do have a video comparing her actually to the Neverfull, and I think I have a full-on first impressions video as well, so I will leave those linked down below. But they fit so much. If you do need to carry a laptop, I have shared that I do believe the larger one would be a better option, just because even though this one will fit a laptop, it fits a little bit uncomfortable and I feel like it will not have the best wear on the bag long term. But other than that, this is such a good bag. I know it doesn't have a zipper. It has a clasp closure. For me, that is not a deal breaker. I love wearing my bags open, but I know that for some of you, that could be a deal breaker. So I do want to point that out. I do get a lot of kind of questions and concerns in regards to these clasps sticking out or going back in if you do kind of like open them up. Honestly, with these bags and the leather that it has, I feel like it's just a matter of training them. So I like to have mine cinched out because I prefer this look. This is more of a shoulder bag for me. I like to use her as the tote that she is. However, if you do prefer using it the smaller route, like I want to share with you, you see right now it's not like hooked on the magnet. It's kind of loose. And look at how she stays cinched out. It's not going to be like that when you do originally get the bag, just because the bag comes packaged closed like this, which is the other option in which you can style the bag. So since it does come packaged like that, when you do get the bag initially, it kind of tends to stay in like this. But as I said, it's just a matter of training it. You can see that it goes back out because I basically stored mine like this, because I prefer this look overall. So just keep that in mind. Don't worry, like if you want it to stay out, it will stay out. If you want it to stay cinched in, and just make sure that every time that you store the bag, you do store it with the sides cinched in. I honestly love this piece so much. They did just okay, we'll get into the new releases and then we'll talk about that. One thing that I do want to point out that I haven't been able to kind of like remove is I did get it, I think you can see it here. It has like this small indentation right here, and that is totally my fault. I overstuffed this bag with shoes. On the way back from a trip, I kind of packed this bag in my carry-on and I put shoes inside in order to maximize space. And the way the shoes were stored did cause a little bit of an indentation on the leather. So it has kind of just stayed there for the meantime. Honestly, it doesn't bother me. Like I see it and I'm sort of like, it's just a characteristic for this particular bag. But I did want to point it out because that's kind of like exactly the wear that I feel like if you put a laptop in here, this bag will show over a period of time. Now that we touched up on kind of like the leather of these bags, I do want to talk about the fact that Polene's pieces, for the most part, they do have like a coated leather material. That can be a hit or a miss for some of us. For me personally, I don't find that to be a bad thing at all. Are you getting this mushy, soft leather? No, you're not. But are you getting a durable leather that you can definitely get this bag and use and abuse her and she's gonna last you the test of time? I think so. As I said, I've had no issues with any of my handbags, but for the most part, the ones that I do own do have kind of like that coated, kind of, you know, protected leather sort of feeling, which I like in these bags. I feel like it is going to make the bag last a lot longer, especially if it is a piece that you go for over and over again. I do want to point out that I have a review video, which I'll also link down below, in regards to the mochi, and the leather of the mochi does seem to be a little bit softer. Not going to be that soft, yummy, supple leather that you could get from other leather pieces, but the leather that is used in that particular style, I did find it to be a little bit softer than the ones used for the Numéro Un or the Cyme in this particular case. So now that we have touched up on that topic, let's talk about some of the new releases that I am eyeing, and let's start off with the mochi in the mini size. As soon as I did that original video sharing with you guys the details about the mochi, by the way, I don't have her here because she doesn't belong to me. She is actually my mom's piece. I knew that I needed that bag to come out in a smaller size. Actually, a ton of us had that conversation in the comment section of that video. We were all like, we need this bag in a smaller option. Just because I feel like the ones that wanted to use that bag as a crossbody bag would prefer a smaller size. With that being said, I do think that the regular size mochi can work really well as a crossbody. Even though she is sort of like a wider style of bag, I don't feel like she bulges out in an awkward way. I actually feel like the Numéro Un in the larger size looks weirder crossbody than the mochi does, if that makes sense. But Polene listened to us and they did release a smaller option. Not only did they release a smaller option, they also gave us more colors. The one that I am eyeing is this beautiful sand color. I feel like I only have one bag in that sort of shade in my collection, and that is my YSL Uptown pouch. And that is sort of like a very night out elegant piece. It can totally be dressed down, but it is a piece that I gravitate to more when I am dressing up a little bit more. So the mochi in the mini size in the color sand, I think would be great for my typical date nights with my husband when we go out to dinner, or just if we're going to a place at night that doesn't call for a really formal sort of handbag. I think this would be fantastic. Now, before we move on to the next style that's calling my attention, let me know down in the comment section if you guys own any of these, any tips, any feedback. I love hearing from you guys, especially like your perspective if you have owned the bag, so that way I can make a more educated decision as to which one to add. So let's move on to the berry. And this one was one that originally it came out and I was like, I don't love it. And that's something about Polene pieces, honestly, because since they are kind of so unique, I am a very kind of like classic sort of person. I love my classics, and I feel like I want to have pieces in my collection that I can use for so many years. But with Polene, I do feel like you're able to add a little bit of a funky piece or a little bit of a different silhouette that you don't normally have in your collection, and you're not breaking the bank, and at the same time you are having a quality piece in your handbag collection. So the berry slowly grew on me, and now I am totally obsessed. I will have to say that if I end up ordering it and adding it into my collection, I think it's going to be a piece that I am definitely more going to use as a top handle. I do love that it comes with that additional little strap, which you can use as a shoulder bag or as a crossbody. I mean, it's nice to have it as a crossbody option, especially if it's a bag that I do take for travel. But for me, I just think it's definitely more as like a handheld or a top handle sort of moment. On the topic of new releases, let's talk about the newest Cyme. And we have two options. So let's talk about the raffia one first. As soon as this one came out, I was this close. I was this close to ordering it. However, the only thing that held me back was the fact that this bag is not lined. And I did talk about that in, I think, like my handbag picks for summer video. And that worries me a little bit just because it is a tote style of handbag. So I do feel like naturally I'm gonna wanna put so many things in this bag. And the fact that it isn't lined, I feel like I'm gonna hurt the raffia weaving over time. I know that this isn't a bag that you're going to use year round. It's probably more dedicated towards like the spring, summer season. But even with that being said, I do have my hesitations in regards to the wear of this particular piece. So for that reason, I decided to sit this one out and not order it. However, she is still so stunning. I love the raffia and the cognac combination. I feel like personally, for me, that is my favorite sort of combination when it comes to summer raffia bags. But they have recently given us the canvas style of the Cyme in the mini size. My sister-in-law checked out as soon as she saw this. I was talking to her this weekend and she's like, I didn't even go to the website. Like, the ad came up on my Instagram and I checked out as soon as I saw it. She had been wanting this particular combination to come out in the mini size for so long. And again, they finally heard us and they did bring it out. They brought it out in the black and canvas as well as the cognac and canvas. But you guys, I saw the black and canvas one this weekend and it's beautiful. The light canvas just pairs so nicely with the dark accent pieces. I loved it. Size, again, is perfection in the mini size. And this one, I will have to say, the only difference that it does have to the other leather seams in the mini size is that the sides will not cinch in. So they don't have that magnet option. This is more of a cinched out style. But again, this is kind of like a beachy vacation sort of bag. So you want to have all that extra space in order to carry all your goodies. And I hate to end this video on sort of like a negative note, but even though the uniqueness of this brand is something that makes me want to add the pieces to my collection, I definitely feel like sometimes they just go a little bit too far. So I wanted to share my picks, which I am not particularly fond of. Let's start off with the Node, and I can see, I love the unique, again, look of this bag. It's very cute. However, I feel like it is very impractical, both the hobo and the regular size. Okay, before I continue roasting the Node, they have just released a new option and it is this smaller one with a top handle. And you guys, I am obsessed. I've already talked about it on Instagram, but I also wanted to share it in this video. The silhouette of this handbag is nothing that we haven't seen. However, that intertwined detail that it has is my favorite, and you guys know I love a good top handle. The only thing that concerns me is the magnetic closure. I'm wondering how fussy it'll be to get your things in and out of this bag. For me, at least from the pictures, this bag looks so rigid and so kind of like small in a way that I feel like getting your pieces in and out of this particular bag would be very uncomfortable. And then the latest one that they have released is the Soleil. I do appreciate just the details of this piece. However, the silhouette silhouette of this bag for me is just one that I don't gravitate to a lot. I'm not huge on the north-south style of handbags, but I will point out that it does have the beautiful kind of like pebbled that they did use to create the bag and the outer sort of shell of this piece. The colors that they have released now are really nice for summer, so I do give them that. They definitely go above and beyond with creativity, but unfortunately, the bag itself is just not one that I would personally add to my collection, that I would personally feel suits my personal style. So for that reason, these are just some of the ones that I will definitely not be adding. But I should never say never, because here we are with the berry, which I thought was just so impractical, and she is one of the ones on the top of my list now in order to add. Isn't it funny how that works? I think with a lot of things, there's just obviously the internet influences us a lot, just because you do see things over and over, or just because you start doing research on certain pieces that you thought you wouldn't like in your collection, but now you think they finally have a place in order to be incorporated. Let me know if you guys understand where I'm coming from and if you feel the same way. I would love to hear your thoughts in regards to your Polene pieces. How are you loving them? Which one has been the newest acquisition to your collection? I just love chatting with you guys down in the comment section. I hope you did enjoy the video and found it a little bit entertaining with some eye candy. And as always, I appreciate every single one of you for being here today, and I hope to catch you all in my next one. Bye everyone.